Hello, everyone. Once again, month is almost over. I feel like it just keeps happening every single week. I can't just get my time together. You know what I mean? Life is just passing me by. I gotta do some stuff, you know? As always, obligatory. Check out my book. It's linked in the description. It's linked in my um, link tree, which is also linked in the description all the time. What If I Ruled the World? Poems inspired by music, my first ever book. I need to work on my second book. I'm getting there. I've kind of narrowed down. Have I written my plot points? Let me check because I have my note for it. Have I? I have not. But that should be my goal soon. I'm working on like some characters that I'm writing. I've written before, so I'm writing on like background of some of them and like changing some stuff about them. So that's where I'm at for one of the stories. So hopefully next week I will have better update, like maybe actually writing a plot and starting writing. That would be great. I have what do we have? September, October, November, December. 4 months left in the year to start. That'd be great. So today we're here to talk about my number 10 favorite horror movie. It's called It Follows. It the synopsis is it stars Micah, I hope I said her name right, Monroe as a young woman who is pursued by a supernatural entity after a sexual encounter and must have sex with another individual to avoid it. It was released March 13th, 2015, and is directed by David Robert Mitchell. It stars Micah Monroe as Jamie J. Height, a young woman targeted by an entity. I've been calling it a demon. It's, same difference. Uh, oh gosh, I'm going to say his name wrong. Keir Gilchrist as Paul Boldoon, a friend of Jay, Kelly, and Yara. Olivia Lucardi as Yara Davis, Kelly's friend. Lily Sepe as Kelly Height. That's Jamie's sister. I feel like she's supposed to be her older sister, but they don't really specify in the movie. But she gives older sister vibes. Daniel Zoyati as Greg Hannigan, Jay and Kelly's neighbor. Jake Ware as Hugh/Jeff Redman, Jamie's former boyfriend and a target of the entity, which I guess that's kind of a spoiler that he does lie about his identity at first. So I think I talk about it in my review. So at least my excuse is the cast list. Spoiled it first. So there it is. Where can you stream it? I streamed it on Netflix. I do have a subscription for pretty much all these except for Apple and Google. But I watched it on Netflix. It's also on Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. I want to say these are all free with your subscription. Double check Amazon Prime because sometimes they're kind of weird about that. Apple TV, Vudu, which I think is now called Fandango at Home. So whichever one it's called. Google Play Movies and TV, YouTube, and Redbox, which I just watched a video. Redbox is going out of business, y'all. Did y'all hear about that? They're not doing good. Yeah. And then the Redbox where I work in retail. Yeah, it has a sign. It's like, we're shutting down. Kind of sad, End of an era. But yeah, let's get into my review. I'm going to tell you my pros, my cons, my overall opinion. So my first pro is the characters. The characters are very believable in the situation they're put in. They actually did a great job of conveying all of their emotions, especially Jay and Paul's characters, because obviously Jay is the one big followed by these entities. And I want to say I did not mention this. I was going to mention this in my short video, but Jay is a very good final girl because whenever she sees one of them, she's gone. Full sprint, full in the bike, on the bike. I know it's kind of a spoiler. On her bike, in a car, she's gone. Like she is not Like, oh, let me just look, let me examine this. Like, no, she's out of there. So she's a good final girl because she does not. Oh, and she doesn't fall. She doesn't trip. You know, there's one thing, but um, I don't. I'm not gonna spoil it. But she does have one kind of thing happen to her, but um, it's not a fall or a trip, so I'm not gonna count that against her. Um, but yeah, she's a great final girl. She is not trying to investigate nothing. She gets herself up out of there. So that's good. And where was I? Um, yes, and I was saying because even before Paul expresses his feelings more openly to Jay, he gives facial expressions to convey that, and you can tell there's tension there. So Paul likes Jay. Um, I don't know if that's like a super big spoiler, but they do talk about it in the movie. And then my second pro is the story and the setting. I love that you could tell like it's kind of early 2000s slash mid 2000s. I'll give that the range, but you can't pinpoint it. And I actually like that because it gives it a nostalgic feeling without being like forced. Like you're immersed in the world. Like you feel like it's just a normal world, even though there's these like otherworldly entity demon things that can look like anything. Uh, can look like anybody or just a random stranger. That's not normal. But I mean, other than that, just one random weird thing. They only show one flip phone, and then they have like one of the characters has like this seashell phone e-reader thing. It's really cool. It kind of reminds me of like I didn't watch a lot of live action. I'm trying to think. Did I? No, I don't think I watched a lot of live action like Nickelodeon show. Or am I thinking of Disney? No, I think it's Nickelodeon because Nickelodeon. I want to say it was. I think I did watch iCarly. I want to say they had a pair phone. Am I thinking of the wrong show? Y'all let me know. I think that was Victorious, maybe. Or was that Zoe 101? See, I don't remember. But that reminds me of that. Like they had like their own kind of like phones. I guess because they didn't want to pay anybody to be like, oh, got an Apple phone, because then they would have to pay Apple. But I feel like that was really cool, like to have a little pair phone, a little unique thing. Um, and they only watch black and white movies on this old TV, so it's like really interesting. And when um, where am I? Oh, and when they're together, they don't have iPads or phones; they're just in the moment. So very early 2000s to mid 2000s. So I feel like maybe mid 2000s we might have had more technology. So maybe early 2000s, closer to that. And I like that the time. I think with the time suspension, it makes the story more eerie because it's like an alternate Earth, like it feels like. And they also mentioned not going too far past 8 Mile because that's where the suburbs end and the city starts. So you have like a suburban area and the demographic being terrorized by these demons slash entities. So it kind of shatters the peace of suburbia. So I feel like that's really interesting. Like that goes into the story. My next pro is that it shows more than it tells. This movie does this really well. You could see them finding out things without like an information dump. I hate it when like in a movie they go to the library and they're like have like they read an entire article about whatever they're like about to encounter. And it's like why are we doing this? Um, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but when they find out Hugh's real identity, you see Kelly and Greg like they go into his old school because I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be college students, like college age. Um, and they're looking at a yearbook, but there's no dialogue. But you can tell that they've found what they needed, like they found his identity. But it doesn't like people don't explain it out. Like I mean, of course, when they go back to the group, they say, "Okay, this is his real name," but it's not like to us. It's for the characters, but we're also learning information. So it's not like they're like spoon feeding us. It's like we're in part of the group, if that makes any sense. Where am I? Yeah, and then like I said, with Paul and Jay, you can sense that Paul is saying it at first that he really wants to be with Jay, but he doesn't really say it much. But he says it more by his actions and facial expressions. Y'all, I was writing these notes at like 2 in the morning, so I have a little typos. So yeah, but you could tell by his facial expressions, and like when certain things happen that I'm not going to spoil, um, that he has these feelings and he's really contemplating about it. Also, when the movie first starts, this is another example of them showing more than telling. So when the first part of the movie starts, Jay is in the pool and she's relaxed, she's carefree, she's living her life. It's like a above ground pool. But then later on in the movie, you see the indoor pool is like destroyed and unkept and not cleaned, like not well maintained. So it kind of shows her progression from being very careless and relaxing to like now she's paranoid, she's scared, she's you know after dealing with this entity, like she can't be as carefree as she used to be. That's a really great illustration of you know what is happening to her without saying it. You know, like a symbolic way to show without telling. Oh, and the music. So the person who made the music is called Disaster Piece. He did a great job scoring this movie. It was really good. It was giving 80s slasher vibes. Um, it was really and like in a great way though. The music was really good. That also made the film feel like timeless and nostalgic, and set the atmosphere for scenes, especially when like the demons come. Like it builds up the tension because like you're like, oh, the demon music is on, they're coming, and a lot of the scenes like you are not 100%. You can like the music might come on, but you're like not sure where they're gonna be like on the screen. Um, so it's like good for the tension. Uh, oh yeah, and also the entities look different every time. So those are my pros. I have one con. The entities slash demons' weaknesses and their appearance inconsistencies. So I don't want to spoil anything, but it seems like the group thinks the demons have a weakness, and it's kind of left open ended whether that's true or not. I like that we don't get an information dump on the demons. I would like a little more detail on them, but not too much. But I know they are making a sequel, so maybe we'll get some more, but not. I don't. I still don't want an information dump. I want it to be like feel natural, like this movie. Also, the first demon that you see in the movie, no. Okay, I would say the first demon Jay sees by herself does not look like the other ones. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's a little inconsistent because the other ones look pretty consistently like they're kind of uniform in the way that they look. And another thing, I made a short video about this, but nobody watched it on YouTube, so nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about. But basically, when Hugh sees one of the demons, they're wearing yellow, but when um, Jay sees them, they're always wearing white. So I kind of wonder, or they're naked, which that's scarier in my humble opinion. LOL, to see like some weird naked person, especially when they look like people you know. Um, so I kind of wondered in my short video, like, does people like if I get it, does it look different than if somebody else gets it? So I kind of wonder about that. I feel like that would be interesting to like expand in the sequel. What's their recording, which they're filming next year. So I guess we'll get it in 2027. It feels like such a futuristic date, but it's not really that far away at this point. 3 years, that's kind of crazy. So that's my only con. Some overall opinions. I really love the atmosphere and the aesthetic of this movie. Also love that in the story we only know what Jay knows, and we don't get too much of an information dump. And I think all of the actors did a great job and were believable. It's definitely a slow burn horror though. Um, so keep that in mind if that's like not your thing. And it's not a long movie. It's like an hour and 40 some minutes, but it definitely builds up the climax for most of the movie. But I will say there's still plenty of scary stuff and tension happening. So yeah. But the big climax is towards the latter end of the movie. So if you're like, that's too slow, I mean, it is what it is. But I feel like it's a good tension to the climax. I love the music, like I said. I love the settings of the movie. I'm excited and nervous for the sequel. They're shooting next week, and I hope they keep some of the essence of the original and don't make it too modern. And I also hope they don't change anything about the demons, because even though they only walk, they still look and act creepy as hell. LOL. So I don't want them to like all of a sudden make them like sprinting all of a sudden. Like I don't like just keep them simple how they were. They look scary as hell. So I mean the look is on point. They don't need to change that. Yeah, no need to change too much. And of course, this movie is a 10 out of 10. Definitely recommend. Uh, like I said, I watched it on Netflix. As far as I know, it's going to be on there for. It's been on there for a while because the first time I watched it was a few years ago on Netflix. So it seems like it's something they're going to keep. But also, like I said, I mentioned all the other places it could be. So yeah. So I have an analysis on what it really is. Like what it is metaphorically, like what the demon is supposed to represent in real life. This is my I don't know if I want to call it analysis or a theory. I guess I'll call it analysis. One thing about the demons and entities is they can look like people you know. And I want to explore why that is. And I think the obvious is that they can sneak up on you easier and you might not notice they actually aren't your friend or family member at first. Of course, until you look closely at their face, then it might be too late. Without spoiling it, their faces, they look weird. Um, and the sexual element of how you get the curse makes me think of how people don't think bad things will happen to them. And on the Wikipedia page, it mentions one of the meanings of the film being the sexual revolution. So I'm going to build on that. A lot of people are not having protected sex. They get offended when asked about getting tested and using protection. People think that you don't trust them or you think they're dirty, which is not, which being dirty is not synonymous with having an STD. So you can be the cleanest person ever, a germaphobe, and still get an STD. When in reality, sexual health is important to overall health. Um, you know, back in the day with syphilis, you could have, I think you can go blind with syphilis. Uh, and, when people feel offended or upset that you ask them about this, they should want to know for themselves but I also feel like people can be in denial. And I understand that. But it's also like if you know, you can actually help yourself and get the medicine that you need, get the treatment that you need. I think I mentioned that. Hold on, let me see. I mentioned that somewhere. Oh, I do. Okay, people blindly think they can't catch STDs because they're not dirty or promiscuous, but in reality, it could be you. Even if you can be cured or you take medication for the rest of your life, no one is too good for an STD. So even if you could get it cured, depending on what you have, of course, and it doesn't have to worsen your health because you're in denial and don't want to get tested. Uh, which is not what you should do. You should be proactive about your sexual health. And I think the setting of the film reminds me of the crime show. Reminds me of crime shows where the people in the area are like, things never happen like that here. Because people who are well off, attractive, or who have some type of desirable trait don't think bad things can happen to them. So I think that it is really saying something like an STD, a homicide, or other unfortunate event that people naively think they are immune to can happen to them. And not only could it happen to them, but people they know too. That's why the demons can look like anyone they might know, and why anyone could be a target. So that's my theory of like the symbolism behind the movie is that bad things can happen to you even when you don't think so, because you live in the suburbs, because you're rich, because whatever. And because the demons can look like your family member, your friends, bad things can also happen to them. So that's my analysis slash theory on the movie. If you have any analysis or theory on the movie, let me know. What do you think is going to be in the sequel? I know the main actor, I know I'm saying her name wrong, Micah Monroe, and the director, David Robert Mitchell, are coming back. He also wrote the script, and I think he's going to write the sequel. And it's supposed to be called They Follow, and I think he's supposed to learn the origin of it. But I hope they do it in the same kind of like organic way, like I said. So I'm excited, even though we probably won't get it for another 2, 3 more years potentially, depending. I don't know how like movies work, but yeah, I'm excited for it. And you know, as how fast time's going, it'll probably be here sooner than later. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed this movie. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, comment. If you are subscribed, turn on notifications. That all would be nice. Check out my book if you haven't. And I will see you all next week.